who is a great Scottish export up there with the great Highland bagpipe and famous grass whisky. As an actor, he's Sean Connery, Ronnie Corbett and Helen Mirren rolled into one. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robbie Coltrane. Very good. Take a seat.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Right.
Okay.
Good house, good house.
Oh, very good house.
Not a bad turn up for this time of day.
And cheered up to see you. Have a drink if you're reaching for it, yes. Every year that passes, you get more and more distinguished as an actor, and you forget those days when you were a sort of jobbing comedian. Was that sort of an aberration, really?
Well, I was always an actor, really. It just so happened that the first things I did in television were funny.
Yes.
And you know, TV people, producers, and they just want you to do the same thing again and again. Well, the same thing that last made money.
Yes.
You know,
sure.
so if I'd come on dancing, I'd probably be.
That would make money. I'd be
a lot of money.
Well, you could do Scottish dancing the way was it Michael Flatley had done Irish dancing. Yeah.
Yes, that's a thought, isn't it?
Robbie Coltrane.
Not an attractive one.
Well,
but
there's a lot in it. But you're kind of returning to being sort of humorous in your new series, which has got a...
I thought you'd never mention it.
It's got a complicated title, Coltrane's, Planes and Automobiles. And I can hand on my heart and say that the worst thing about it is the title.
That's all my fault, because we dozens and dozens of different titles. The heavy metal was one they thought of, and I thought, wah, wah, you know.
Well, they expect to have, you know...
Yes, well, that's the kindest interpretation of the pun.
When I first heard you were doing a documentary about engines, I thought, well, that's very noble of him, because most people who do documentaries, they like to travel abroad, go to exotic places, do the paleo thing. Oh, he's going to be just wandering around, you know, machine shops and things. But when you see it, you're travelling around the world.
Well, is it my fault the only decent steam train still running every day is in the middle of Zimbabwe?
Yeah, jolly lucky that. There is the Bluebell line you could have gone to, but Zimbabwe or somewhere.
It's a Scottish engine. We had to make the Scottish connection, of course.
And you come across as being a huge enthusiast.
Well, I am a huge enthusiast.
A huge enthusiast.
Careful.
Yeah, no, but you do. I mean that in a...
Life's short enough, Clive, you know, without teetering on those little eggshells. No, I am an enormous enthusiast, and there's the double pun there, for all things mechanical, and particularly engines. But the question is, will the public, you know, share that enthusiasm? What persuaded me was really, I guess, watching Attenborough's nature programs, because the whole nation who previously didn't give a monkeys about what butterflies did in July,
or a butterfly what monkeys did.
Yes, quite are glued to their television because of the infection of his enthusiasm. And there are a lot of people who are interested in engines who, frankly, are anoraks. They live with their mum, they've got dirty fingernails, and they sit in the pub going, no, I think AGS actually went from the Magneto to the Dynamo in 1957.
But are you one of them?
No, I'm not. I'm not a great man for joining one of those clubs or going down to the pub and talking about engines all night and excluding women and all that. And the effect, particularly of the engines we chose, the 6 engines we chose, these are the 6 engines in many ways that made the 20th century. Right. It wasn't really until they had really efficient steam engines that people could go to America regularly, knowing they would get there. Right. I mean, if you see the figures, people who took sailing boats to America, it was just like you tossed a coin. I'll either be in New York on Wednesday or I'll be dead.
Yes. You did some very good explaining.
We did a lot of
very good Open University lecture.
Oh no, you bastard! You bastard! We actually thought at one time of doing that. That it will get myself one of those awful chocolate brown suits with the flared things and the unattractive facial hair and the 18th of July we took the car around the corner. Bob and I wondered what's going to happen now. No, we avoided that.
We've got a shot of you in an aeroplane, which is entertaining to look at. You didn't say very much in this shot, but
no.
Let's have a look at it anyway.
Except arg, I think. And
it was hell.
It was hell. Yeah. But I mean, I have to tell you, someone said to me, what's that like? Because most people's experience of being in a plane is you get on a jumbo, which is like going to somebody's sitting room.
Sure.
And then 7 hours later you get off and you're in New York or whatever. Being in one of these things, it's like being in a little TR2, a sort of 1950s British sports car. And you're going along and somebody throws the whole thing off the top of the Empire State. And then just before you hit the ground, you suddenly go along Fifth Avenue.
Sure.
It's just, and your body's thrown around.
And were you doing all that? I know we see you there, but did you do all that twirly?
Yeah, that was me. That was those cutaways with my face is there, my head's there, my stomach's about there, where that was the internal camera, and the external camera was showing what was happening on the outside.
Yeah, it's a little bit non-PC in a way there for Channel 4 because you're full of these dirty engines and there's smoke and trees being chopped down by two-stroke engines. We're a bit more touchy-feely environmental on
well, yes, but now. I mean, the trouble with engineering is it gets a very bad press, and I mean, engineering really has affected our lives probably more than anything else. I mean, apart from wars.
Sure. But now that's your new series. But I suppose, I mean, you've well, apart from Tutti Frutti years ago, and then you're Cracker. You're suddenly sort of everywhere and more BAFTAs than you can handle. Now, but that's being made in America now.
Duraglit polishing. Duraglit polishing poisoning from the figures, yes.
But are you doing...
that was a terrible joke, wasn't it? They'll maybe edit that one out.
I hope so. But...
not lost any of your age, you wee bum, you.
So you're a lot of BAFTAs, and let's not worry about how you polish it, but
Mrs.
Now there's a Cracker in America that you've not gone with for some reason.
Right, well, I mean, they offered it to me, but I suspect, hoping I would say no, you know.
Why not? Because you could, you didn't...
Well, I could do American if you wanted to, but I don't know. I mean, I mean,
why
what can
couldn't
I
you be
say?
Scottish? Because the Cracker is not set in Scotland, it's set in
No,
North
it's not.
England,
Well, I don't know. I just didn't fancy it. I just didn't fancy it. I mean, it would mean doing it for another 5 years without script control, without director control, without producer control, which I had at Granada.
Right.
You see, so what you do is you sign for one script and suddenly everything changes and suddenly you're doing The Darling Buds of May, you know. Why are there no bodies? Well, the people upstairs, they thought, you know, too many corpses, they kind of, we're not going to sell Kleenex in the interval, you know. And
it could be Cracker and Lacey.
Exactly. Exactly.
Has it managed to do all right without you? Or you got to watch somebody else, you know?
It's not for me to say, Clive. Modesty forbids me from saying.
Oh, has it completely failed without you?
Oh, no, I'm saying nothing.
So what have you been doing? Well, I take it from you're not doing Crackers over here?
No, I made a couple of films in New York this year.
Yeah. So you went to New York anyway?
Playing mafia bad men.
Yeah.
It seems bizarre that, you know, in the middle of New York they can't, or maybe New York actors are afraid to play hitmen in case that, you know, we saw your film, very funny, get in the car, you know. Why didn't I think of that? You know, Yes. But no, that was great. That was terrific.
You got a lot of bad men to play there, don't you?
A lot of bad men. I got to beat a man to death in the back of a '61 Cadillac. So that was two things fulfilled, you might say.
Fantastic,
you know, the dream date, really.
Yeah. Not for him, though.
I had to hang him up in a meat hook and beat him to death in an iron bar. It was really horrible.
Is this children's telly you're doing, or is it?
It's a sort of Teletubbies.
Yes. It's a violent society over there.
Yes.
And any more films you've got to...
I have a film that I made in Hollywood last year called Buddy, about Mrs. Lintz, who used to keep chimpanzees and finally a gorilla in her house and brought them up as children. Used to take them to the movies dressed up. Careful. Oh, you fell right into that one, Clive, didn't you? I play the lovable and understanding husband. I played very, very kind of New England and very nice.
Yes. Well, that's good. There's a change because you
yes,
got all these parts.
Playing a man who was rotten to his wife and his lover and his children, and there I was being very nice. It was slightly dull, actually.
Because you were even a baddie in the Bond film, weren't you?
Yes, I was. That was great. That was a scream.
You were fairly baddie. I mean, you stay alive, don't you? So you can't.
I did stay alive. Well, I tried to fix that in my contract in the hope that I might get to do another one one day.
Well, I think they're making another one now. So
transparent.
Yes. Now this stuff we're doing sort of engines and but you're an actor and.
Oh, by the way, did I mention I also wrote a book?
The book to go with the
book's much more detailed on the technical level. Whereas on television you can't be too technical. You have to keep the entertainment flow going.
Yes, you do.
Something which I'm sure you know about.
But lots of shots of you in dodgy circumstances and explaining.
Dangerous circumstances. Putting the marshmallow into the back end of the big F-100 jet engine on afterburn. That was the bravest bit.
That looked ridiculous.
I did that entirely to watch the crew's face because you just saw the camera and the crew all going, that.
That was very entertaining. I couldn't quite see the point of that. We were just demonstrating that a jet engine is very hot at the back. And that would seem to be, we kind of knew that, but it was a very good moment.
And have you toasted a marshmallow in the arse end of a jet engine?
No. Well, does it taste?
It tastes slightly paraffin-y, to be honest.
Yeah.
But toasted to perfection.
Not a recipe.
No, it's
the
not
two
a
fat
recipe.
ladies wouldn't go for that. But you're quite a brave man, because you did a thing called Ebb Tide, which was brave enough to do it itself. But you got in a storm on that, on the sea.
Well, that wasn't bravery. That was just, what else could you do?
Yeah.
Because you were stuck in the scary bit about that was when the safety boats disappeared. Because we had 2 safety boats with stuntmen on them in case anybody fell off, you know, doing rigging shots and stuff. And then and it was a beautiful, sunny, fluffy cloud Caribbean day, you know, the kind that you have in the brochures.
Yeah.
And suddenly this black sky, I mean, absolutely jet black from nowhere, and it was the back end of a hurricane that had come down from Cuba. Not with any cigars, I noticed.
Yeah.
And suddenly the sail that was up just went like that, like a bit of tissue paper. And the rain went sideways, and the safety boats decided it was too dangerous and buggered off.
Yeah.
And I thought, something wrong with this picture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But you're being modest, because you saved the day, didn't you? Take over the wheel.
Well, that's the tabloids that I saved the day. All I did was held the wheel and steered it through the middle of the hurricane. Because there were a lot of women on board, and hey. But I'd rather not talk about it.
No, that sounds a great moment.
It was very exciting. I really thought, well, if this is me, that'll do me.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, well, it's been very jolly talking to you, but I'm sure other people have questions. Anybody got a question? Gentleman in the blue shirt, glasses, when the microphone hits you in the face, that'll be you. Right, good.
Robbie, the role you play in Krakow, it's so convincing. How is it like you in real life?
Oh, God. Interviewers always ask me that. I mean, originally, McGovern said that he always saw Fitz as a small, wiry guy who'd been in the army.
Yes.
You know, so
how did you get the part?
It was a part that
did you lie about your age, or
I
you
did.
lie about your size? I don't know.
Slept with everybody and handed around £5 notes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Lady there with the black top. Can't we see?
Yes, Robbie. Whose diary would you most like to read?
God, there's a question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't read anyone else's diary, of course, and neither should you. Neither should you at home, children. I don't know. I always think Shakespeare's diary. Imagine Shakespeare's diary with that. I had a great idea for a play. Unfortunately, everyone dies in the end. Oh, what the hell? I'll write it.
Yeah.
You know.
I must get Francis Bacon to
wait for this. Wait for this. I like it.
Okay. Any more questions?
You've got to stop smoking that stuff, Clive.
Yes.
It's doing you no good.
You must stop supplying it to me. Now, anyone got any questions? Gentleman at the back from the drug squad has got a question for you now. He's only joking.
Robbie, you mentioned that you were always going to be the bad boy in films like James Bond. Do you ever see yourself as a James Bond character? And which aspect of his life would you most look forward to?
Well, the same as everyone, I suppose. Driving around in an Aston Martin, getting to shag all the beautiful women in Europe.
So a sensitive portrayal you'd be going for.
Am I being naive here? I think that's what... I mean, I suppose like most boys, when I was 14, I wanted to be James Bond.
Yeah.
But...
You'd make a great James Bond. It'd be fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. I think the leaping in and out of cars would be the slowest part of the film somehow.
Well, you could train up for a bit for it. And
I guess so.
I don't think they really do the lead.
They've had one stunningly good-looking dark jock, haven't they?
Yeah.
2 would be a bit much, perhaps.
Anyway, well, it's been very good of you to come along and answer all our questions. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Robbie Coltrane.
Thank you very much. Thank you.